Inking, yay! These are all the things you'll need for inking. The reason I don't like to use gloves is because you can't feel any stray globs of ink on your hands or your arms if you have gloves on. And we want to keep ink in two spots, here and on the matrix. We don't want to get ink on the machine or on the blankets. The blankets are very expensive to replace. When it comes to inking, like I said, water-soluble oil-based ink is the way to go. Tubes make everything easier, but I want to show you how to take ink out of this guy. You'll notice that on the top, there's going to be a little bit of a film that has been created from getting exposed to the air. You want to scrape off and keeping it nice and flat, kind of like a stick of butter in the fridge, just as much as you think you would need, but then making sure that the top layer is still nice and flat. There we go, we got some ink. Perfect. And before we do anything, what I like to do is spend a couple minutes warming up the ink. And what this does is kind of reunite it to itself when you need like a bread dough. Same idea. We want the particles to wake up and get nice and smooth again. And you'll just keep doing this until you feel it has an even consistency. You'll actually see now the ink has turned really nice and glossy, kind of like it's been pulled out of an ink pot. How do we measure how much ink we use at a time? We do it by what we call beads of ink, which is something that I learned from Zoe. You want to scrape into your pool about 1/4 of an inch of a dollop on the end of your spatula, and we'll use that as our measurement. This is 1 bead of ink. And we can measure how many beads of ink that we need to use from this pool using this technique, so that if we want to replicate how much ink we're using for each pass, we can do it like this. Just pressing off some ink, and I'm just going to scrape some more. That's about 3. Don't think we'll need more than 3 beads of ink at this current moment in time. And I'm just going to put them in a little spot over here. And then this is where we're going to start rolling. So that was very naughty of me. You'll always want to store your rollers on its back like this. Otherwise, gravity will start indenting these guys, which will mean an uneven roll for everybody using the tool. So we'll always want to store it like this. It's also mess-free if you have ink on it too. So in the drawer and on your workspace, always have them on their back. So now we're going to start inking. This is very much like a doing it with feeling process. What we'll want to do is start pulling the ink onto the roller and onto the work surface in this motion. And we'll want to do this until the glossiness of the ink that we just created turns into a nice matte finish. Until you hear a really nice sound and that the texture on your glass matches the same texture on your roller to evenly distribute the ink from your work surface to your tool. Beautiful and matte and ready to be inked onto your matrix. Rule of thumb with inking is that it's similar to painting a wall. You'll want to laminate all of your layers for something like this, I wouldn't have to worry about lamination because my roller is the same width and a little bit more than my matrix. But for example, if it was something like this, that was much longer, I would almost try and grab a different a different roller, one that's on par to the actual shape of this. I could also use this roller for this fish if I wanted to. So. A couple passes, and what we want to do is try to get this same texture on our matrix, nice and even, all of the edges nicely coated, and it will be ready for our first test. So put that there, and now we transfer over here. Put it in our registration, nice and straight. I'm going to grab some newsprint. Just going to tuck it on top. I'm just going to move these a little bit closer. Perfect. Extra layer of newsprint.
Just gotta keep going.
Yeah, just gotta keep going.
Okay, now it's catching.
Yeah, now it's catching, and now you can just use the flywheel. And you'll notice that you'll have to turn it a lot.
Oh.
Now I'm just going to take it from the corner, pull it up at a 45. She's beautiful.